Over the years, Nintendo has done quite a few interesting things when it comes to advertising new Animal Crossing releases, specifically in the form of television commercials. Yeah, we have like 2 decades of commercials that have been released under Nintendo for this game franchise, and some of them are very interesting to say the least. So we wanted to look at majority of them that have come out over the years and pick out the best and maybe some of the worst ones we've seen, and some of these get really interesting. So let's go ahead and take a closer look here. Starting things off, let's go all the way back to the very beginning of the franchise history with Animal Forest, which released only in Japan for the Nintendo 64. There was a Japanese commercial promoting this game.
動物の森に君だけの部屋を作ろう。家具を揃えたりおしゃれをしたり。さあ、何から始める？Nintendo 64動物の森。
Now this entire advertisement is in Japanese, so it's a little harder for us English speakers to understand. Fortunately enough, with the power of subtitles and translation, this commercial opens up with a girl approaching her parents, saying that she wants her own bedroom. They think, aren't you a little young for that? The Animal Crossing music just kicks in, and the game goes straight to showing some of the decoration abilities you can do with the game. You can change your clothes. There's a very brief clip walking around outside. There's voiceover narration saying that you can decorate your own house and collect furniture and dress up. Then it cuts back to the family. It says, does Papa want to live here too? And he looks absolutely thrilled. And then on the screen it says up to 4 people can live here. For a very, very short commercial that's just trying to introduce people to the concept of Animal Crossing very quickly for Animal Forest N64, for a 15-second ad, this one gets the job done. I don't think it fully captures the essence of what Animal Crossing or Animal Forest was necessarily about, because they were only working with 15 seconds and the gameplay shown off is very, very brief. I think this is a very solid starting point for us looking at the commercials, so we're gonna put it right in the middle of the road at like B tier, but we'll maybe subject it to go up or down later on. Now we'll look at the first Animal Crossing game to release on the West, but before we fully do it, make sure you guys do double check that you're subscribed. We're getting very close to 20,000 subscribers. Only a few of you will be able to say you were one of the first 20,000 people subscribed to Rocket Elijah. It's a pretty exclusive club, so maybe help me out and subscribe. I won't waste your time any longer. Let's go ahead and look at this GameCube commercial.
Animal Crossing for Nintendo GameCube.
A sheep moved into the village today.
Sweet.
Why am I always the one organizing the treasure hunt? Maybe I'd like to sit around blasting techno music all day.
Trade you some wallpaper for your UFO.
You think I'm a chump? Try the raccoon.
Whoa, the energy in this one is much, much different than what we expected, and to be fair, this is probably one of the most known Animal Crossing commercials because of just how wild it was. This, of course, was the early 2000s when Nintendo was doing some interesting things when it came to how they promoted their games. They had a reputation for having some weird commercials, to say the least. And I guess Animal Crossing was no different. Now, this was obviously a parody of the real world or something like that. Yeah, okay, this one is very interesting, to say the least. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of voiceover narration, and there are some funny quips in there too that I kind of appreciate. The one thing I do like about this commercial is that it does kind of explain the idea of what Animal Crossing the game is about and what you will experience, while also keeping things entertaining for people who are actually watching the commercial.
Nice outfit. Where'd you get it? A garbage dump?
Yeah.
We definitely don't get to see commercials like this too often, and I do think that does make the commercial maybe worth a little bit more than some other types of commercials we've seen in the future. I don't know, there's just something really charming about the fact that they tried to recreate this in some weird live action format, and it's just kind of interesting. I think ultimately we can go ahead and say this is probably one of the cooler Animal Crossing commercials. Maybe it's one of the more cursed Animal Crossing commercials, I don't know, but I kind of like that aspect, so we're gonna put this one all the way at the top at S tier. I think this one really sets the bar high as to what we need in every Animal Crossing commercial. Also, the fact that they made multiple versions of this commercial that we just played, and it wasn't just a quick 15-second clip, probably contributes to the fact it's ranked so high, but there's really no way to differentiate them other than dividing them separately, and they kind of all go together, so we're just gonna put them here in S tier. Okay, next we'll look at the GameCube release of Animal Crossing that was for Japan.
一人暮らしを始めました。小さいけれど住む家も決まり、お気に入りの椅子やテーブルも揃えました。毎日いろんな出来事があります。
And this one, I feel like it hits the mark a lot better than the Animal Force one for the N64. While I do think there's a bit too much of an emphasis on some of the e-reader cards, there's a voiceover narrator talking through most of the commercial, explaining what the experience of Animal Crossing is like and what you get to do. And this time it has a really interesting music track with it. It's the Animal Crossing theme, but to some sort of stringed instrument, and it sounds very relaxing and calming, and I feel like that's a better example of what this game is like. It also focuses on the mail aspect of the game, which kind of was a cool feature back all the way in the beginning. We even get this little mailbox that looks really cool. We also see something similar with the E+ commercial, which was like the definitive release of the game that added a bunch of features, and this one's really great. Once again, it has the calming music, the voiceover explaining how the game works, and it shows off a lot of the new features that weren't in the 2 previous releases of the game, which obviously was the big selling point for them making a final definitive version that only released in Japan. And then from this series, there also was a whole commercial kind of dedicated on just promoting the card aspect of Animal Crossing, since they had the whole e-reader connectivity.
たくさんの出会いがここでの生活をもっと楽しくしてくれます。
Okay, this one's a little bit hard to really judge too much because very obviously this commercial's original intentions were to sell people on the whole e-reader connectivity part, as this was also a big feature of the new game definitive version that they released, the E+. Knowing what I know now, I know that like the card aspect of the game didn't really live up to the hype that it was kind of advertised, but this also was during the craze where trading cards were like super popular and becoming a massive hit, and just collecting the cards was cool in itself. So I'm trying to put my frame of mind as if I was a kid who was collecting cards back in the day, seeing this and already was an Animal Crossing fan, and I can totally see how this commercial does a great job at showing how you want to collect the cards because there's some connectivity where you bring your cards into the game, something that other cards didn't do. So this was something really unique. I really think I would have wanted this desperately as a kid, so I think the commercial did a pretty good job. All of these commercials representing the Japanese Gamecube releases of Animal Crossing. I think they're generally all in the same tone, so we could probably rank them all together. But I would say for the Japanese Animal Crossing plus the E+ version, we'd go ahead and put this one at A tier. It's not as cool as this live action thing going on, but it's still a lot more informative and a better representation of the game than the N64 one. Let's move on to Animal Crossing Wild World for the DS. Okay, what is going on here? Yeah, the early 2000s was a really weird time, and I still can't believe fully that this was a commercial that they used to try to promote Animal Crossing. I will give it points for the weirdness factor and the entertainment factor. They're definitely doing something weird here. I don't think I like it, but I mean, I'm intrigued by it. I'm very mixed on how I feel about this. Now, the first 18 seconds of this 30-second long commercial is dedicated to nothing at all Animal Crossing. Like, this is just not even remotely close. So they try to spend the last 15 seconds just like telling you real quick facts about Animal Crossing, but unless you already know what Animal Crossing is, this commercial probably does nothing in informing you what the game is about. I think they did a good job highlighting some of the cool things you can do in the DS version as opposed to the previous version, like online connectivity with the whole Wi-Fi thing, which was a big deal back in 2005. But while the first GameCube commercial was kind of charming, this one definitely feels way more cursed than the cursed charming we felt with the great GameCube one. I can't put this as like F tier because it's not the worst thing ever, but it's very unsettling. I'm gonna go ahead and put this one in D tier, but it's still iconic. Like, it still gets this like, hey, this was a really interesting thing that happened in Animal Crossing history. But yeah, it's not the greatest commercial of all time. On the flip side, Animal Crossing Wild World had a really good French commercial, believe it or not, which kind of mixes like the real life experiences with some of the experiences you get in the game, so you can kind of see how Animal Crossing exists as a life simulator, which is the core aspect of the game. And this back and forth and merging the two worlds kind of together is a much better representation of Animal Crossing Wild World. Now, I feel like if I could understand everything better than having to use French subtitles to get the narration and all that, I would appreciate it better. I still don't think it beats our GameCube one, but I do think it's a very good commercial, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this one up at B tier. There was a second French commercial that was much shorter, and it was used just to focus in on the online connectivity and does show a bit about how it works. And for a time where online games and stuff like that weren't really as commonplace, it was still a new thing, especially with handheld systems. I think they did a really good job explaining how it works without you having to like read an instruction pamphlet to figure out what and how online works. So I think this commercial, while it's still technically the same set as the previous one, is slightly cooler or served a better purpose. So this specific one, we'll call it French Commercial 2, is gonna go up in A tier. Then there was a Japanese version, which I guess served the purpose of showing local play on the DS, which was cool, but I'm not too much of a fan of this commercial specifically because it's a lot of not showing Animal Crossing, but then like they're in the game looking up at the fireworks and stuff, and that's cool. And then they look up to the sky and the commercial ends. There's not like fireworks in real life like you think you would see. It's just, I don't know. It's not awful. It's not amazing. C tier. Okay, then I found another Japanese commercial, which is mostly the same exact commercial as that first French commercial. This one though was a little more descriptive in what the player is doing and how it's more of like a journal. So I actually liked this one a little bit better than the French one. So this one's actually going to go up in A tier, but it is interesting how similar these two actually are, while also not being exactly the same, which makes me wonder why other countries like France and Japan got commercials like this, and then we over here in America, we got this. Oh well, let's time to move on to City Folk.
I have discovered a place to be free. A place where I can embrace nature and meet friendly new neighbors. And at night, I can create constellations and make the stars shine the way I want.
Animal Crossing, let's go to the city. Only on Wii.
Okay, so it might be because Animal Crossing City Folk and Wild World came out so closely together in timelines, especially in the UK. But it seems like England got a set of commercials that went together for both the DS version of Wild World and the Wii version of City Folk, which in Europe was called Let's Go to the City. And I don't know what it is. Like, I want to say that these have some of the characteristics of the things I really liked about the previous commercials, but there's just something about the way that the commercials come across where I'm just really bored. I don't know, maybe I'm being too cynical after we got some crazy ones that we looked at in the first two and now it's just this. I don't know. Why are they talking so slow? I don't know what it is. It's just missing something that really would just make this commercial perfect. This first double combo, I'm putting it in D tier. I don't like them. Now, the UK did do an online one that shows how the online functionality works with the new We Speak tool where you can talk. I'm gonna be real with you guys right now, the microphone did not work that well. Not as well as it's showing here. Nonetheless, this one is a little bit better. Of course, they have to show Zipper T Bunny, but at least it makes the game look kind of fun. Like there's something fun to enjoy with this game. So they were getting somewhere with it. I think it could have used a lot more, but I'm worried I'm being too cynical towards it. I think it's a step up from the previous ones, but it still feels kind of like the previous ones. So let's go ahead and put this one in C tier. It's just a middle of the road, okay commercial. They literally recreated this commercial exactly practically for American audiences. And for whatever reason, I think that this one's even worse than the UK version.
There's that new boutique everyone's talking about.
Oh yeah? Let's check it out.
Like, it doesn't even sound like a real conversation any human being would have. So this one's going down in D tier as well, almost F tier, but I just want to leave that clear in case we get an actual full-on just awful thing. Oh wait, I found this commercial.
Gosh, it's great here, isn't it?
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Oh, hey, did I tell you I went looking for shells today?
Really? Any luck?
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I caught up with my neighbors.
Aw, that's nice.
Want to check out the fireworks?
Yeah, you kidding? Let's go.
See you there.
So you mean you did literally what any Animal Crossing player would do? Or even the shell thing is like the most boring thing you can do. They're not worth anything. It's not anything to literally write home about. Yeah, like her friend would actually be all interested in what shells she found while playing Animal Crossing. This one's just like the other ones, except somehow worse. I'm gonna go ahead and let this one fall down to the F tier. And then we have the Japanese version of City Folk's commercial, and this one is so much better than whatever we've seen. And mind you, the translation feature on YouTube was not working working well. I could not understand a thing that was being said. However, I can say this, it showed off more gameplay, more interesting footage, and the person in the commercial at least looked like they were having fun and were excited about the things that were going on in their game. It does later show off the online functionality as well, but in less of this weird emphasis on the we speak, it's just more natural and how it flows together and shows that it's like an online player thing and not just some like weird voice chatting mechanic. This one's way better. I'm gonna go ahead and give this one a B tier. Okay, then they took the same UK commercial and just dubbed over it for France and for Spain, so I'm not really gonna count those because it's a little weird the way that like the dubbing doesn't really line up. South Korea got an interesting commercial which seemed to be inspired partially from the Japanese one, but it showed less of the cutaways and just more gameplay footage, which I feel like is the big thing that should be shown off in a lot of these commercials, unless it's something related to the game and represented in a creative way. It does have some cutaways showing like a family playing or something, but overall I think the South Korea commercial did a much better job. It seems like the game is fun again, so this one will also go up to B tier. Okay, let's move on to Animal Crossing New Leaf. Now this one you guys are gonna probably think I'm a little bit too critical on, but let's just play a little bit of it first.
Cause you're the mayor here, and you decide how your town grows. You can customize what you want, how you want.
Okay, I'm putting this one in C tier. I don't know how to explain it exactly right, but I feel like this commercial is too cookie cutter, trying too hard to appeal to like kids who are watching Nickelodeon specifically in 2012 or 2013. I don't know if you guys have any idea what I just said or what that means, but while this commercial gets the job done at explaining what the game is and that it's out, I don't think it has any like unique creativity behind it. There's nothing super special, and I just wish there was more substance to it than just, hey, let's go. They did do another commercial where they got Michelle Phan to come and play the Animal Crossing, and then there was some narration that was a little less campy and more just like, hey, here are some of the features you can do and experience. And this one is a lot better than the first one, I guess, at least in my perspective. I think this one can go up with the rest of these ones up in B tier. Okay, this next one is kind of amazing. It's the UK version.
Wow. Can I have some of your bamboo?
What do I get?
An autograph? What about a T-Rex?
Now we're talking.
Thanks for the bamboo. You're welcome. It's gonna cost you. Wait.
I want my bamboo back.
And I genuinely like this. I love the idea of a little kid becoming kind of like a little mob boss in Animal Crossing New Leaf. It shows off the game, it has charm, creativity, a little story with it. This is pretty close to what we're looking for out of a perfect commercial, and I think this one's really deserving of the A tier spot. This next one just starts off with someone getting yelled at by their mom and then just immediately tuning out to play some Animal Crossing.
There is a world where I get to do things my way.
It's a shorter commercial, but I definitely appreciate it for some reason. It's at least doing something better than what the US came up with New Leaf. So this one's going up in A tier too. Yep, when it comes to Japan, I have no idea what's going on in this commercial, and I absolutely think that this is perfection. I mean, I don't need to know what's going on. I'm already intrigued by the colors, the Animal Crossing characters, whatever this is. This is exactly what I feel like is just top tier Animal Crossing content. This is the only commercial we've seen since the beginning practically where I think this commercial easily should go in S tier. The song is catchy. I wish I knew what was being said. If I did, I feel like it would be even better, but since I don't, I still think it's deserving of what it would have gotten. So yeah. Okay, New Leaf has a bunch of other little commercials that have also released. A lot of them are short. A lot of them are kind of in the same tune of the things that we've already seen. To save us the trouble of just watching kind of these more mid-tier commercials, we're gonna kind of just fly through them. Most of these fall probably between the C and B tier, depending on if they're just kind of straight up boring or they're slightly entertaining. There was this German one though that had some dialogue. Once again, not sure what they're saying. I'd like to think they're insulting each other here.
Bist du mal mein Haus sehen? Klaro.
They're probably not, but it does show off some of the game. It shows off the new 2DS. It shows a lot of things that you can do in the game, so this one also would fall into the A tier, I think, without necessarily having that extra push to give it the drive to go into S tier. Going on to Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, the mobile release, we didn't expect there to be a lot of promotion when it came to this game, but surprisingly enough, there was some commercials that were made, and they're kind of interesting, actually. Japan had this one.
一緒にいると毎日嬉しい。動物の森ポケットキャンプ。今ならもらえる。
And I really dig this one. It's live action in a sense. It bridges the gap of like in-game and real life, and you see Marshall just sitting on a couch casually. They did one for the Google Play Store, and they have KK Slider's music in the background of it. This one's definitely going up in A tier for sure. On the West, we got not really a commercial, but maybe it was like a review of Animal Crossing Pocket Camp on Toonami. A lot of people classify this as a commercial. I don't think it fully counts. It's interesting. I'm not going to put it on the tier list, but I just wanted to give it kind of an honorable mention here. Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival for the Wii U. Now, in Japan, they did something interesting here. They did a series of commercials that have like the Amiibo figures talking to each other, and it's kind of charming, despite the fact that Amiibo Festival was the game that it ended up being. I can't help but to think that the commercials were the greatest thing that came out of all of Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival combined. At the very least, these Japanese commercials, I think I'm going to go ahead and put them up in A tier because they're kind of fun and clever. The English US version isn't nearly as cool. It's just a little bit of dialogue and less marching. I'm going to bump this one to maybe C tier. I don't think it's really that special. Just kidding. That one clip alone of Digby spinning around doing a dance move brings us saving it up to B tier. The German version of this commercial is probably my least favorite. They just briefly show the Amiibo figures, but that's about it. They don't actually do anything creative with the commercial, and then they just show Amiibo Festival gameplay, which, you know, it's probably not the most exciting thing. I'm gonna go ahead and have to throw this one down in the D tier area. Okay, also I know the order might be a little bit weird here, but we need to make sure we do talk about Happy Home Designer for the 3DS. Now, there were a couple of commercials that released for this one, and they were pretty okay. We don't need to go into every single one because they're pretty much the same, just showing like some decorating and then some people playing a 3DS.
Welcome to Nook's Homes, where you're the designer in demand.
This one specifically, though, was released in both English and Japan using the same footage, but it used some CGI, which is kind of unique for a commercial like this. So we will put this one on the tier list, bumping this one up maybe to A tier, because I really just like the way that pre-rendered Animal Crossing New Leaf aesthetic kind of looks here. Then last but not least, we can look at Animal Crossing New Horizons. And oh boy, did this game not only sell incredibly well, but Nintendo just like went all out with promoting this game all over the place in different countries and in different ways. There were a ton of different commercials made. So to keep this video interesting, I don't want to spend a ton of time looking at some of the more boring or neutral ones. I think we've all seen like the generic Animal Crossing commercial where someone's just like, oh, I'm playing Animal Crossing on a rainy day, and this is what you can do in the game. Like those ones, they're fine. If they're a little bit boring, they'd probably land in C tier. If they were a little more unique and interesting, I'd maybe put them in B tier, but look at our tier list already. It's getting pretty full. So let's just talk about like the specific ones that are like the most interesting here. We've talked about this specific one before in a different video, but there's that one that was with some student coming home from university or something and like was really sad because they're gonna miss out on all their new college buddies and whatnot. And they give their friend a copy of Animal Crossing, which like when I was in college, none of my friends had money to be giving themselves video games, let alone other people video games. So I already think that's funny. And then when she does get home and is playing Animal Crossing, she's like not even helping her family who's trying to move all of her furniture into her bedroom again. Like she's just chilling there playing Animal Crossing while everyone else is helping work for her bedroom. And I just think this commercial is goofy because of that. I'm going to go ahead and put this one in D tier. There is this other one that aired in Italy, which has a kid just like walking outside and he like trips on a rock and then sees that it's an Animal Crossing fossil, just like you can do in the game. It's a little funny, I guess. There's really not too much going on here, but I like that enough to just mention it and put it this one also in B tier. There's a really, really boring one about some little brother missing his older sister who like moved away to go to school or boarding school or something like that.
Is that our kitchen?
Yeah. I recreated everything. Oh, except Mom's cooking.
Well, that's no bad thing.
I don't know. I don't care. This one is just so slow moving. I was gonna put it down in D tier, but then I heard this laugh.
I heard that.
And after that, I'm just gonna go ahead and let this one populate that F tier ranking a bit more. Then there was this cool commercial that came out in Japan, which has nice Animal Crossing music. And it's like villagers singing Animal Crossing songs. Which I just really like that they use something different than the generic da na 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 na. And because of that, I liked this one a little bit more. I'm gonna put this one in S tier. That tambourine playing is next level. And that's about it without making this video drag on for an extensively long amount of time. There is a couple of other interesting commercials that a lot of the time utilized celebrities with New Horizons, like Brie Larson, for example, but that actually wasn't an Animal Crossing commercial. It was a Nintendo Switch commercial, and Animal Crossing was just one of the games featured in that promotional ad. So these ones are cool. I would have probably put them up in the A or B tier just because of the celebrity endorsement that they threw in, which was different for this time. But since it's more than just Animal Crossing, I don't know if we should count it. Nonetheless, this is what our tier list looked like. After some consideration and debate, I decided that that one Wild World commercial was cringy and cursed and D tier for sure, but in the way it's like so bad it's good, and I wanted to just move it up. I probably should just let this one be an S tier. It's both S tier and D tier at the same time. S tier. You know what? Forget it. I'm gonna live with this. It's an S tier commercial. It is peak talking discussion Animal Crossing. Otherwise, I'm feeling pretty good with this tier list and the way that it turned out. So let us know what you think. Do you agree with my tier list? Am I way off on something? Was there something I missed in a commercial, like a little detail that makes it better than what I maybe judged it? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you everyone again for subscribing and supporting this channel. We'll see you next time with a brand new video.